Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Scott Churchson alongside Mr. Davion Boosie and rocking it out, Mr. Ryan O'Regan, and welcome to Tales from the Film Set on Spanglish World Network 249 and 250. Kindly remember to download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android. When you download it, make sure to rate, leave a comment. Both apps are free. And lastly, Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Warm.
Awesome.
Very, very warm.
Touching warm, reaching out.
Sorry, folks. I know this may be a little bit more scantily clad than you're used to seeing me here on the show, but for lack of a better term, my AC conked out on me. So this is why you're getting a more PG-13 friendly Ryan O'Regan as opposed to anything worse. Mind you, this is also the show that liked to show off Dave's butt a few weeks ago, so you can't fault me.
And now, none of him. He's just gone. He's like, you know what?
He just dipped out.
No, I'm back. I just had to turn the AC on.
So. But otherwise, it's been a decent week of... if anyone's seen anything about Top Gun Maverick, only a 29% drop from week 1 to week 2, which is unheard of.
True.
Wow. Never will you see that again in the theaters, probably. And on the downside, Morbius. Who's the one working at Sony? Who's the old man who thought, oh wow, the kids are talking about morbing on Twitter. Let's put it out in theaters again.
Really?
Yeah.
They were trying to see if they could salvage the project, and so far,
I wouldn't even say you needed to necessarily salvage it. It just didn't do well enough, but it did okay. But doing this just shows like an act of desperation. And there was something I saw from Cracked, which pretty much was saying something about how much each theater made by promoting the movie for the weekend, and it was only about like $200 and some odd dollars, like $289 was as much as any theater made by showing that movie over this past weekend. So they put like 6 different things that they could sell off for that amount of money. For that $289, you could have gotten 289 Taco Bell tacos. You could have gotten 29 3-packs of mannequin eyelids.
They was trying to salvage the film.
You could have gotten 1 month lease on a 2022 Honda Accord, a brand new Honda Accord.
Wait. They tried to salvage the film.
You could have bought 4 anatomically correct Alf dolls, which apparently is really a thing.
Wait. Say that again?
Anatomically correct Alf dolls. I will show it to you here.
They tried to salvage the film.
Apparently they could not.
You could have bought a scrap of Freddy Krueger's sweater, which for a lot of Stranger Things fans probably would have been a better investment. Or you could have bought 6 sets of king-sized Morbius bed sheets, which, let's face it...
Oh, that spells it right there.
Let's face it, would have a longer shelf life than the movie.
True indeed. So I don't know. Do you really think that basically anybody gave a crap about Morbius?
Yeah. Look, this could have potentially been just one of those movies where it's like, okay, we knock on it now simply because of the way it plays into the whole Spider-Man, Disney, Sony, Marvel conglomerate thing. Yep, that's really
it. $79 for an anatomically correct, basically Alf with a penis.
Who needs pineapple when you can eat cats? And look what happens.
There's a phrase that we can't use on air regarding eating cats, but I guess it would tie into basically the anatomically correct Alf doll. Good night, everybody.
He's Mel Macking it, man. He's Mel Macking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's one of those things where like the Morbius could have easily ended up being like a cult classic long down the line, because it's kind of one of those movies where it's so bad it's good.
Mhm.
But now Sony has pretty much pressed it upon this point that it actually has like some sort of significance, some importance that they're trying to get through to people. And really,
And
it just screams of like old man being out of touch with society.
Or Tommy Wiseau saying, "No, it's not a comedy. It's not tragedy."
Oh yeah. No, that you're morbing me apart, Lisa.
you're mourning me apart.
Dude,
Hi, Bob.
you guys have never seen Samurai. You guys have never seen Samurai Cop 2, right?
No.
Not to my knowledge, no.
I just want to basically plant the seed. You don't have to see the first one. Samurai Cop 1 is bad in its own right. But Samurai Cop 2 has Tommy Wiseau as the leader of an evil ninja clan. I'm just going to leave that right there.
I could see that.
And it works. By God, it's amazing. It's actually better than The Room because the people that hired him knew exactly what he was going to give, and he gave it.
Now remind me,
Lisa,
Samurai
Lisa.
Cop, the original, that's the one with like the dude with the big hair who looks like he's from California.
And that guy's
Much in the same way, wearing a tank top like this, but then walking around with a katana, right?
Yes. And actually,
Yeah,
it's the
I
same
think
guy.
either Mystery Science Theater 3000 or Rift Tracks have done that movie before.
Rift Tracks did it because it was on Pluto. But yeah, no,
go.
it's but it's the same guy who inexplicably decided to change his name between the first movie and the second movie. But yeah, like I said, Tommy Wiseau was leader of a ninja clan. They just let him ad lib because that's all he kind of does anyway. But yeah.
Which I guess should lead us into our main topic for today: movies that deserve sequels.
Why are you
possibly
laughing?
Because of all the things to spend money on, Samurai Cop 2 with Tommy Wiseau is just...
Dude,
there were other places where money could have gone.
Well, there's basically, if we're gonna start with, obviously what we're going to be looking at as far as sequels that never happened, we probably have to start with this one first of all, Beetlejuice.
Right. Yeah, we did talk about this last time in regards to Johnny Depp being added to the cast, supposedly.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, Beetlejuice has been in the swirler for about 40 years now.
Look, Johnny.
Most notably, because of that one, Beetlejuice goes Hawaiian.
Yes, which has been a notorious script that's been out there in the ether ever since.
I'm the publicist for Johnny. Wait, Johnny, wait.
Mm-hmm.
We know you're gonna win the court case, okay? To basically have an outcome that's gonna be phenomenal, you should be in Beetlejuice because you're a weird guy, and we know you're weird.
He's worked with Tim Burton 86 times at this point anyway.
Yes,
true.
And and there's probably some Hollywood guilt over everything that happened. I mean, for God's sakes, they figured out a way to get rid of Amber Heard for Aquaman too. Warner Brothers is serious on that one. So I don't know. Beetlejuice 2 though, I don't know. I'm sure probably somebody writing something somewhere for his comeback.
Yeah, but we know you.
To be fair, sorry, no, go ahead, Dave.
If we know that you're not going back to the Pirates of the Caribbean, we know that. But Beetlejuice, come on, it's Tim Burton. You could come back. You could revive yourself, and then you could do all the weird stuff you want to do. Even though I like Johnny Depp.
Well, see, here's the weird thing. If it ends up being, Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice and Johnny Depp as, I don't know, just throw something out that randomly death, because why not? Because, you could throw something in there. That could conceivably work, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But, I still keep sticking with what Kevin Smith said. He's like, didn't you say all the things we said in the first Beetlejuice movie?
But see, I debated this last week where I said if there was that much to be said and it was already said, they would have never gone ahead and made an animated series on it. And back
in the 80s, they made animated TV shows for everything.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris had one. Rambo had one. RoboCop had a cartoon show. Yeah. R-rated movies. I mean, Rambo was after Rambo 2, where he just tore the crap out of the entire Vietnamese. And then the cartoon, he's sitting there, lounging out on a canoe reading a book. And it's like, Rambo, your country needs you. On my way, Colonel.
So they didn't do the fake Sylvester Stallone accent?
Well, they kind of did. They kind of did a little bit of a Rambo, but not like the hardcore, meltdown that he had at the end of Rambo 1.
Then it's not Rambo. Then
Dude,
it's not Rambo.
They had Rambo on skis, okay, in the intro.
Like, yeah, I'm about to go down this slope. Where's Ryan?
You know what? He apparently was offended by your attempt to do Steven
Hey, I'm sorry, but hey,
he has a medical condition that causes him to talk like that. He's made like $500 million off talking like that, but it's like things work out pretty well.
Do you think people make fun of him and he ain't gonna care if he making money off of his condition? Hey.
You know what's funny? If you ever listen to him actually talk in an interview, Sylvester Stallone, he sits there and he talks about the Rocky movies, how Rocky actually gets smarter in every single movie, which is true. Because as he puts it, every time Rocky gets punched, his IQ goes up. And you see him in Rocky 1 where he's like, the Adrian. And by like Creed 2, he's like, Creed, here's what we have to do. Forthwith, I guarantee that, post-haste, Creed, you must go out there and fight him again. This is your legacy and all this kind of stuff. And it was just like, as the movies progressed, he just kept getting smarter and smarter.
That is true. That is true.
And obviously the insight and the wisdom increased every friggin' movie too, which is awesome. But
so he was that kid that sat in class. At first, he didn't absorb everything, but once somebody punched him in the skull, it's like all that stuff you thought he didn't absorb was there. It just wasn't active at the moment.
Basically, yeah, it took the hit, and then basically suddenly, the bulb goes off. I don't know. I mean, do we do a Beetlejuice 2? Yes or no?
You know what? I would love to see it now, but I sort of feel like it's too late. It's too late.
After 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Top Gun 2's got people thinking, though, because, I mean, that was in the same era that this movie came out.
Yeah. But the thing about Top Gun is no matter how you make it or shade it, it's like it's still going to still look new, especially when you do something like that, because you can always update or do special effects with the actual flights and planes and all that stuff with the fighter jets. And it's really good on 4D. So,
yeah, again, it's not one of those ones that you sit there and watch on a little tiny TV.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Beetlejuice, we're voting no, right?
I'm voting no.
Voting no. Okay. If and when Ryan comes back, we can talk about that again, see where things stand. What other movies basically you like to see? Do you have one?
I don't have one for 20th century. Like, if I would remake, like if it was a remake, but if you talk about sequels, I would say The Fifth Element should have been a sequel. It should have been a sequel to Fifth Element.
There was supposed to be one, actually.
I'm trying to think. Fifth Element. Technically, the crap that they did with I can say crap, right?
Yeah, crap.
Okay. So the crap that they did with American Psycho sequel, that should have been a sequel to reprise Jason Bateman. Yes. I mean Patrick Bateman. Yeah, Patrick. I'm sorry, I messed up the name.
Yeah, no, Jason Bateman's the one from Arrested Development and whatever that show is right now. But yeah, you mentioned Fifth Element anyway.
Trying to think.
You're looking at all your fun codes to find possible sequels.
Yeah, I am.
Nice. Loving it. I'm loving it.
Like, it's like, what else can we do for a sequel? Like The Simpsons, it was good for its time.
No, The Simpsons already had a movie that way.
Yeah, so it's like if they did do a sequel from the movie, it's like, what was the point?
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, Fifth Element, it's been about 25 years, I think, right about now, since Fifth Element did have had the movie come out. And there was always talk about a sequel. It did fairly well in the box office. Obviously, it launched Mila Jovovich's career because she did all the Resident Evil movies after that.
We shall not speak. We shall not speak of those Resident Evil films.
But how about Show's still trying to find them?
Mm-hmm. Which movies need a sequel?
Oh, I've got one 100%. I'm pretty sure you've never seen it.
Okay.
Fifth Element we can do, but there is one specifically that we have to hit on. And
The Goonies?
people, not every, what's that?
The Goonies?
Goonies we can do, but Goonies has been talked about a little bit. I was trying to find some of the stuff that's a little more esoteric.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ones that's the most esoteric, but by God is one of the most amazing films that was ever done, was The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Yeah, I never heard of that.
Most people haven't. But if you look at part of the cast here, you got Jeff Goldblum before he did The Fly in Jurassic Park. You got Clancy Brown before he did Highlander. You got Peter Weller before he did RoboCop. Christopher Lloyd before Back to the Future. John Lithgow before any of the stuff that he did. You had such a wide array of characters that, this eclectic group that had to fight off aliens from the eighth dimension. And it became an absolute unbridled cult classic because all of these people ended up actually becoming much, much bigger immediately afterwards. Peter Weller, right after this, went to RoboCop. Clancy Brown, right after this, went to Highlander. Christopher Lloyd, right after this, he went to Back to the Future. But they all kind of got on the map from this movie, which ironically enough did sort of create a sequel that you might know about. That one. I don't know if you recognize this movie.
Yeah, so Big Trouble in Little Chinatown. I do remember that. That was supposed to have a sequel?
That was supposed to be the sequel to Buckaroo Banzai.
Are you serious?
100% serious. Dude, I have Buckaroo Banzai on DVD. It's right over there. I'm looking right at it. So, no, Buckaroo Banzai Against the World Crime League was supposed to be the sequel. And that sequel was rebranded into Big Trouble in Little China. And the World Crime League was supposed to be, Buckaroo fighting against the person that killed his first wife.
Matter of fact, something came up on my phone where I do agree this should have became a sequel. Should have a sequel.
Big Trouble?
Nope. Dredd.
What's that?
Dredd.
Well, Dredd had a reboot.
Yeah, but the reboot should have had a sequel because it was really good.
The reboot wasn't bad. I mean, all right, here's a question for you in this case. Do you prefer the reboot to that or the reboot to RoboCop? Because I have to go RoboCop on mine.
I prefer both.
Talking the reboots themselves.
I prefer both because RoboCop needed a reboot because realistically, yes, it was good at that time, but a reboot of RoboCop during the time it came out was kind of good. It's just that people didn't like the concept because they were expecting a more grittier RoboCop story like the 80s, which we wasn't going to get because of the fact that, number one, you're dealing with a different time frame when it came to RoboCop. So I kind of I like both RoboCops, but I think the new one basically was better at the time that it came out. I don't know why people didn't like it. I guess it was too much, wasn't what the grittiest aspect that they wanted it. But look, you're looking at evolution of technology in the film industry. Like, and things got to be modern and updated. Do I feel as though Big Trouble in Little Chinatown may be a big thing during its current state? Yes. But RoboCop to me was really, the remake was really good. That's just like the Evil Dead remake.
I know you're trying to get me to watch that too.
Yes.
Yes. Good.
So Dredd, I really have to say, to me, it wasn't bad. I don't know why people didn't like it. It was really good. It was really good. I guess because they didn't like the soft tone. My thing was, even with the soft tone, it was awesome.
You know what? I think it is my theory only. I think between Dredd and RoboCop, people knew I'm talking the originals. The Peter Weller and eventually Robert John Burke RoboCops, I think, were more well known than Sylvester Stallone's Dredd was, And I think when you had a reboot, people were more curious about that one over there than they were about Dredd, because RoboCop was iconic. The second one wasn't bad. The third one was PG-13. He fought robotic ninjas. Okay, fine. But the first one was so unique and so iconic, in the distant future of 1993. But you look at, so I think people were more curious about this particular RoboCop, which I think explored more the psychological aspect of it. It's like he's thinking too much, so we're going to change his levels a little bit to make him more robotic. And I thought that's clever.
Yeah.
That is a clever way of going about this.
And to me, it was like the perfect concept that they did. And a lot of people didn't like it. I respect those people's opinion. But my opinion, like I said, still stands, because I feel as though y'all never really gave it a chance. Y'all never really actually sat back and observed the film itself, and would have been like, for its time, it was perfect.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said, as far as Dredd goes, of the two movies, I liked RoboCop better. I remember the RoboCop reboot better than I do.
As far as
but yeah, as far as what's going on with all that, I think Dredd was a little more of a condensed story too. It was more of just, it felt more like just a comics, one of the comic books, because Dredd was originally a comic book anyway. Right. So it just felt like, to me, another issue, and not like a true reboot, more like a half sequel, half reboot, if you will.
Yeah. Because think about it, like, if they really want to go in depth with the Dark Judges, it would have been freaking phenomenal.
So
I
don't know.
And I think the Dark Judges would have been, if they would have went with that concept and just focused on the Dark Judges, like the undead judges and stuff like that with the three, I think it would have been a phenomenal film, and people probably would more be invested in Dredd than the RoboCop, because they was expecting too much. They was expecting because number one, I did hear that people complained about the outfit. They wasn't expecting the black suit. They were expecting the silver, the classic look. And I'm like, come on, we're in 2020, like not 2020. When did the movie come out? Like in the 20s, right? Like 2009 or something like that. Hello? Am I talking to myself? Oh, we are. Hey guys, how y'all doing? This is Davion. So we're talking about movies that should have had a sequel. So Judge Dredd should have had a sequel, and RoboCop definitely. Now the remake of Evil Dead, like, come on, let's be real, audience. And hey, Daryl Taylor. Just to let you know, with the reboot, when it comes to the Evil Dead, I think that would have been a phenomenal sequel. It would have been off the chain. It would have basically gave more insight of everything regarding to the book, the economic book, with the remake. We already know about the classic aspect of the Evil Dead. But overall, everything was fire. Like, there's some films that we have today that could be a sequel to its predecessor. And that's pretty much what I have to say regards to that. I'm trying to think. Oh, Scott Pilgrim, perfect example, should have been a sequel. Like, anybody disagree? Like, I totally agree that Scott Pilgrim versus the World should have had a sequel. And what Daily Taylor saying, they could have had the villain Kane come back to RoboCop. I totally agree. That would have been a phenomenal. It would have made sense. Like, anything that was a remake, they could have done sequels. Now, I have my biases about Total Recall. That toxicity should have never became what it is. But overall, hey guys, welcome back.
Hi, everybody. We're both back.
Yeah, we're back. They're back, ladies and gentlemen. They're back. So it doesn't feel like I'm just rambling.
It's okay, man.
You know what? This
he
is
had an issue, and then immediately after that,
this episode.
Dude, I don't know what that. You had the issue, and then I did, and then Chrome wasn't restarting.
And I was going solo.
You know what? It's Sony. They're so upset about me talking about Morbius, they decided to hack back.
What type of
Optimus is so pissed off that I trash them all the time.
What type of sorcery has Sony done to you?
They morbed my heat. They morbed my air conditioner. They're morbing the whole place.
Go morb.
So I basically was rambling about how the remake should have a sequel. Like RoboCop, like Daryl Taylor was talking about how they should have brought back the Villain Kane in a sequel to the current up-to-date RoboCop, which would have made more sense. And I totally agree with him. And I also brought up the fact that Evil Dead, yes, Scott, should have had a sequel as well to basically get the whole gist of what the Neconomics book was all about. Because you just left people in the cliffhanger in the beginning of the film where they was like, the remake of Total Recall could not live up to the 1990 version. Yeah, it couldn't.
No. And well, to be fair, the remake of RoboCop couldn't live up to the original either. So
I totally disagree. Sorry.
That's okay. You go first because I'm about to go off tangent on the Total Recall right here.
All right. So I totally agree with you, Ryan, because think about it. It was because of the time frame. When did the remake came out? It was like 2019 or 2011?
2012 or 13. You mean the Total Recall one?
Yeah. No, not Total Recall. RoboCop.
About 2014, I thought.
Yeah. So you have to look at the time frame. Would you want something that gritty? Because remember, that times are different. 80s. Let's be real. You want your action films to be gritty, dark, and action-packed. 2014, I would say 2009 and up, you wanted some story, some drama aspect explaining the origin of RoboCop, but have the action, but you want the soft tone to understand that he's still human.
And that's
where the 80s wasn't going to provide compared to the current time frame. And also, you got to look at it this way. You're not going to get that silver, hey, law, respect the law. Bad.
No.
You're going to get that fast pace because he's a robotic android that's used by he's technically human, but he's using a human body a robotic body because of the fact that he still have human tendencies. He still have human mentality.
How many Punisher movies did we have? You got three, wasn't it?
Three.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had Dolph
and every single one of them is an original movie, barely a connection to the others.
And the only one that was the best one was the John... what's his name? Thomas Jane one.
Oh God, no.
Yes, it was. Thomas Jane one was the best.
No,
one.
The Ray Stevenson one was more true to the character of the comics.
Thomas Jane was the best one. Ray Stevenson was more comic.
Ray Stevenson blew up everybody. He was tough. He was gritty. He didn't like nobody. That's the kind of Punisher you need.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, guess what? We're in a certain time frame where that Thomas Jane was the way better one.
Oh, okay. None of this soft reboot stuff.
Neither of you guys are mentioning the Dolph Lundgren one. I just can't help but notice that.
Because Dolph Lundgren's version was kind of.
To be fair, I never watched the Dolph Lundgren.
No, version. I saw the Dolph Lundgren one.
I did too.
I've seen the cover enough times in video stores, but that's about it.
Okay, okay. So basically, Ryan, you got one with you here. Warzone was the second or third one, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, it was just
Daryl,
unfortunately too little, too late.
Your mouth.
No, but here's something I'm gonna just go ahead and put out there. As far as what Dave was talking about in regards to Total Recall and RoboCop and all that. When it comes to sci-fi, if you wait too long for a sequel, it just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The thing is, the reason why something like Top Gun Maverick worked was because it was set within this microcosm of United States Air Force.
Right.
From when you look back at the 80s to now, the only things that have really advanced has been the planes and the technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing that's, a difference about the character. It's nothing different about the environment, the social classes that go on there. That's all the same. The drama is still the same. Only the technology has updated.
Yeah.
But with a lot of sci-fi stuff, a lot of sci-fi relies on the technology of the time. That's why if you do a sequel, you have to do it immediately. Because if you wait too long, time and reality catches up to the mythology that was in the original film. And by the time you make a sequel, it looks silly.
Right.
Now, do you think that's the reason? I'm sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think that's what actually hurt Independence Day, the sequel?
No.
Yes, Dominic West was a great Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Probably the best one we've seen on live action. Nothing against what they did on TV, but in that sense, you look at something like what they're doing right now with Predator. Right now, they're not doing a sequel. They're going all the way back to a prequel. They're doing something where it's like the first time the Predator race hit Earth, going after Native Americans. Taking it old school.
Pause.
What?
That's not when the Predators first came to Earth.
Which timeline are we talking about here? Are we talking about the timeline in regards to when they're interacting with the xenomorphs?
No, we're talking about Native American time frame. But really, if you want to go real deep into the time frame, they was there before Christ. Yeah.
Consider it a soft reboot then. Different timeline or something else.
Okay,
the fact of the matter is, they're advancing the story by taking it back and going like more traditional hunter-prey sort of mentality. And that makes it
the Predator 2 has been so milk dry at this point.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you have an unknown cast for a sequel or a reboot or a prequel or something like this. This way, when you're not relying on the star power, you can rely more on the effects and the storytelling to really move things along. Now, you think about movies that probably deserve sequels. I say something probably like The Goonies, which supposedly had a sequel in the works for some time. Something like that can work because at this point, it's fine if they age because it's all just fantasy and adventure. Fantasy and adventure always works for a sequel because it's just a matter of like getting yourself into the circumstances of the adventure itself.
Which is
what I would love to see if they could have made like a third one of these. I would have loved to have seen a third Romancing the Stone movie with Michael Douglas. But now they're too old or anything. But at least you had something like what's that one that came out recently with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock?
Oh, the one with the one with them in the she created a Love's book novel thing, and he was the model and stuff.
Yeah, that's basically Romancing the Stone. It's all right to take like the concept and make like something off of that.
Right.
That's probably the closest we'll ever get to a sequel in that sense. But with the Goonies, you still have most of the cast old enough to still act. Some of them have become more prominent than they were back when they were kids. And you can go a Stranger Things route and simply make their children go off on an adventure. And the adults be like, oh God, they're just like us. The only one you probably couldn't get is Chunk because he got out of acting. But practically everyone else there has stayed in entertainment. Some of them even bigger names than they were back then. Look at Josh Brolin. Look at Sean Astin. Even the one that played Data. doing fantastically in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Don't forget him.
Jonathan Laquan, yeah. You know,
yeah,
we had 5 Rambo movies. That is true. Yeah, 5 Rambo movies, a cartoon show, you know, merchandise line. Waiting for that to get. I'm surprised that hasn't been rebooted yet. But you know, you can make it. You can make it Gulf War in this particular case, probably.
And also, you gotta look at it this way: a lot of these remake films, like, are we talking about paying homage to back in the day sequels, or are we talking about reboots that could have been a sequel as well? Because there's
Usually
a lot
they do
of
both.
yeah.
I mean, they're rebooting the Ocean 11 movies, but they're bringing back like some of the original people just to be able to pass the torch, kind of like they did with the Ocean's 8. It's like Ocean's 8 was an all-female cast, but hey, let's bring in Matt Damon to tie it together. You know, in this particular case, you would need like Mikey, Sean Astin, who's right in the middle of that image right there, to be the one guy who comes back into this for the Goonies sequel. You know, that's usually how these sequel things work, where you don't go fully hardcore, you know, outside of, you know, with a brand new cast. You need to have some degree of familiarity with that.
Yeah, I'm talking about sequels that should have happened sooner, but could also happen now. This is something that, because Goonies has been talked about for so long, for so many decades, it has enough potency that if you go ahead and say, hey, we actually do have the second movie in the works, hey, we do have this returning cast member and this returning cast member who you've seen in more popular things, and use that to drive the popularity along, it can work. Yeah, I mean, we've had Rambos and we've had Universal Soldier sequels and everything. And
wait, but do they really count? Do they really count the Universal Soldier sequels? Like,
they do, because Jean-Claude was still in them for most of them.
Well, he was only in there for the second sequel, and that was it.
And then you had Dolph Lundgren in the other.
And then they had one where both of them were together.
But think about it.
It's fine if you are able to reuse the same actors. The problem with those movies is that when you're talking like action movies with like lots of gun toting and lots of punch and kicking sort of stuff, when the actor starts to age, it becomes a little bit cringe in seeing them still try to do the same old stuff. Look at something like Rambo. It's like you had to get it to the point where, okay, now he has a daughter, so he's a family man, and some local gang goes ahead and messes him up. Before you know it, it becomes less Rambo and more what's that one
Taken.
Action series?
Taken.
No. With Charles Bronson.
Death Wish.
Death Wish becomes more like Death Wish.
Okay, my question to you: did you think the remake or the Charles Brosnan one was way better?
I think the Charles Bronson one was better because it was a factor of its time, especially when it got its sequels and it just got crazier and crazier. Like, I remember the one where he's got like rocket launchers and everything, dealing with inner city gang drug dealers. I'm like, wow, that's 80s.
Yeah, this I had no faith in. I had a time accepting. Expendables 3 was I liked what they mostly did with the cast. Expendables 4, I know for a fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger, Harrison Ford, Bruce Willis, they're not in this. It's a largely new cast all over again. So I'm not convinced.
Well, yeah, because now it's a whole decade since, and now they have more people that are now more expendable. Everyone keeps aging.
Well, I mean, to his credit, I mean, some of the guys that were in there, Terry Crews, you know, even Dolph Lundgren, were in really good shape. Dolph Lundgren was in really impressive shape for both the Expendables movies and also Creed 2.
Right.
You know, can he carry Universal Soldier? Probably not. But credit for a guy who's like 70 years old. Even when he did, and I can't believe this was a thing, Kindergarten Cop 2, which Kindergarten Cop is not on our list of movies that never had a sequel, because Dolph Lundgren was in the sequel. No. He was the guy, you know.
And he did a heck of a job.
It wasn't a bad movie. You go into it with a bar set so low, you enjoy the movie. You know, there were some lines in there about the fact he's eating a peanut butter sandwich in front of these kids and they're freaking out about peanut allergies. I thought I was unprepared for that. I thought I don't find a romantic lead because the girl's like 28 and he's 64 and you can tell, you know, unless this girl's got some massive daddy issues going on. But other than that, I was like, it was on Netflix. Burned an hour and a half of my life,
Mhm.
never getting it back, but that's okay. I can live with it.
Right. Like there are certain things that certain sequels, like I will have to say, certain films that doesn't have a sequels because it's good for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But there are films where you sat back and thought about it, and you're like, "Oh, He-Man, Dolph Lundgren was He-Man."
Yeah.
We didn't forget
Well,
about.
that was
Oh
Masters of the
wow,
Universe. Yeah, we never got that sequel either.
yeah, we never did.
Although
Oh,
that was
or
not.
Howard the Duck sequel.
No, he did make a cameo in Guardian, so he's part of the MCU. Ryan, let me
Now,
ask you something. No, I want to ask you this. Do you by any chance remember the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the eighth dimension?
I do. It was weird back then, and it's still weird now.
Okay. That was something Davion did not know about it. I love it. I've got it on DVD here.
You don't know about Buckaroo Banzai?
You didn't? No.
Jeff Goldblum in a cowboy outfit?
Yes. Peter Weller prior to, I mentioned it earlier, prior to RoboCop, Christopher Lloyd prior to Back to the Future, but did you know what basically was supposed to be the sequel like that turned into a brand new movie?
Wait, so it got made, but it turned out to be a different movie other than the sequel to Buckaroo Banzai?
Yes, there was another movie that you will know what that movie was. That movie was supposed to be the sequel to Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh.
Should I give you a hint?
No. Just remind me, what year did Buckaroo Banzai come out?
84.
Was it Back to the Future?
Nope.
Ah.
that's two.
That was the closest one that I could think of that would make sense.
This movie was 1986.
Oh, okay. I'm stumped. What?
It involved Kurt Russell in a truck.
Big Trouble in Little Tokyo?
Big
China.
Trouble in Little
Big
China.
Little China. Tokyo,
That
China.
was supposed to
Look,
be the
I'm
Buckaroo
bad
Banzai.
with geographics, all right? But
you got the right half of the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was supposed to be the Buckaroo Banzai sequel. But it got remade into a brand new movie.
I feel like that kind of makes sense because when you look at the enemies of Big Trouble, they're very surreal. More surreal than you would think for like a martial arts action movie.
I'm going to get into Highlander in a minute. I promise. I want to hold on that one. But
we've talked about Highlander so much at some points.
They said Buckaroo Banzai would be back going against the World Crime League. The World Crime League was going to be the entire syndicate that was fought in Big Trouble Little China. They just revamped the script when Peter Weller couldn't do it for whatever reason.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I could also see a sequel to Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah. Now that down there, there we go. That right over there. Yeah. Highlander. There can only be as many as you want. I have been a fan of the franchise. I like the series. I can even borderline tolerate movies 2 and 5. That does not need a reboot to me. And I don't think
we're talking about movies that have like been one and dones, classics in themselves, that like Top Gun could be done in a sequel format, not a reboot, not a remake, not a prequel. I'm talking just keeping the story alive from the original, as if there is still some, loose ends that need to be tightened up. Now, when I think about things of that nature, and say talking directly from the 90s, there is definitely one movie that comes to mind that I've always wanted a sequel to, but I just don't think it's going to be possible.
Okay.
And that would be, and this is going to be a movie that you guys have never heard of. Brain Donors.
Oh, dude, hell yeah. Oh my God, please.
John Turturro, Brain Donors.
John Turturro, Mel Smith, damn it, I can't. Yeah, dude, that movie was genius.
Well, here's the funny thing about it. It was technically a remake of a Marx Brothers movie, but because it was done in the 80s and because it was done with its more risque flair, it became like an entity unto itself. If you didn't know Marx Brothers, you would have never known that this was a remake. The way John Turturro has piloted his career.
Mm-hmm.
I could still see him doing the comedic shtick that he had as Roland T. Flackpfizer.
Well, the attorney, the ambulance chaser.
Yes. Now I don't know. I think Mel Smith is actually passed on. I don't know about the other gentleman.
Yeah, I'm drawing
the
a
one
blank.
who basically was the Harpo. But I feel like comedies,
Bob Nelson.
If you have the right crew together,
Mm-hmm.
you can do a sequel to a comedy, because the thing is, the chemistry between the actors does not really change. As long as you get them back together and they're all still in that same mentality, the comedy can work. We've seen comedy sequels with like groups of or pairs of people work constantly. You can go all the way back to like old vaudeville days, when Laurel and Hardy and Abbott and Costello. You could use the same people over and over and over and over and over again, and it works. We've seen it nowadays when it comes to anybody that Adam Sandler works with, or whenever what's his face, Will Ferrell and John C. No, not John C. Riley. What's his face? No, John C. Riley.
John C. Riley.
C. Riley always works with Will Ferrell, but I mean, James always works with.
Basically, yeah. Step Brothers supposed to have been a sequel.
Yeah, Step Brothers as a sequel would work. There we go.
Yeah,
I just realized that I totally forgot
this.
If you have never seen this movie, oh my God, you will laugh. When I was growing up, some of the jokes I would use in school came from this movie. Now, that might have gotten me in some trouble. When you're going to tell people, it's like, hey, you want to get together? And I'm like, two's company and three's an adult movie. Some people will be a little put off by that.
I don't know. Here's the problem that I have, and this is more of my, lifting up my, my pants up to my ribcage here and telling people to get off my lawn. I don't know if this movie would work in today's comedy. I think it's too fast, because now today's comedy is a lot more about pop culture references. Like this image that we're looking at right here, you have the three of them right there. Randomly, you'd have like the Iron Giant in the background, or some random Warner Brothers plug, or something. That's today's comedy. If you look at, here's a prime example. You look at original Animaniacs versus reboot Animaniacs. The original one by Tom Ruegger, Paul Rugg, Sherry Stoner, and the rest of them was also very, very vaudevillian, very Marx Brothers based. The next one that came out had none of that in it, and that's what hurt it a lot with a lot of people's eyes, including my own, because it lacked that Marx Brothers quick-paced verbal aspect, which Brain Donors crushed. That movie did so well with the one-liner there that you struggle to keep up with it. When you watch it over and over, you're picking up new one-liners you missed the first time around. Oh my God, this movie is brilliant.
I would almost argue that's why it needs to come back. That kind of comedy, that kind of fast wit, can be something that a lot of people see and be like, wow, I didn't know they could do that. When, of course, you and I, people of certain ages, we know that sort of stuff existed, whether it be a movie like this, whether it be an old black and white, whether it be even something with Sylvester Stallone like Oscar. That kind of fast comedy can be done. People talk about Clue all the time.
Yes.
That's that kind of fast comedy. That's that kind of witty, sharp, left, right, up, down sort of mentality.
1 + 2 + 2 + 1. But now there's talk that they're doing a sequel or a reboot to that too, with Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman. I
could see that, because definitely Ryan Reynolds has that kind of sharpness when he's talking. Bateman's got to be
game night was good, so I'll give him that. Personality. He's got to be the setup guy.
Yeah,
if you saw him in Arrested Development and everything else, he was always the setup guy for other people's punchline, and that worked. He was very, very. If you want to use a Burns and Allen reference, he was the George Burns to like everybody else's Gracie Allen. He would just set up the lines and then bam.
So then wait, is he going to be the Wadsworth, or is Ryan Reynolds going to be the Wadsworth?
I don't know. I haven't done the homework on that. I'm curious myself, but I don't have
to see who the rest of the cast is.
Last I knew, there really wasn't an update on that, according to IMDb anyway.
Yeah, but if we're talking about comedies from like decades that could be getting a sequel, I mean, that definitely stands out for me. I feel like comedy is one of the easier things that you can do for something like that.
Right.
Even if the comedy ends up being bad, Like, say, Dumb and Dumber 2.
Or the prequel to that as well.
Well, that's the thing. Had there not been the prequel, I think the sequel would have done better. But I think the prequel really left a sour taste in people's mouths. Much like a lot of things that came off of Jim Carrey's career that didn't involve Jim Carrey. Look at Son of the Mask. You know, if you could have just gotten a proper Mask sequel, it would have been fine. But no, we had to have a CGI baby and a dog and, you know, Jamie Kennedy.
And stuff that looked like was it Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat?
Yeah, you know.
Oh God, Mike Myers. One of the movies that kind of killed Myers' career.
That would have been a sequel.
What's that?
Cat in the Hat?
I remember in my youth, one of the many Dr. Seuss animations that came along had the Grinch's The Cat in the Hat. And it was basically those two characters facing off each other. Imagine if they did a live action combination film with Jim Carrey's Grinch and Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat. Facing off against each other. Because to my recollection,
that could have worked.
Jim Carrey and Mike Myers have never been in the same movie. That would be ridiculously great.
That would be cool. So,
and that's the thing, comedy, you know, risque or not, timeless, as long as you make people laugh, that's all that matters. Don't worry about the gimmicks or anything. Just go with the jokes. It worked for Hangover.
Oh God,
the first one anyway. Maybe not the second. You know,
well, the third one paved the way a little bit better. The second one was just the first one redone. That's the thing you have to be careful.
A more extreme one. It was Hangover 1.5.
Yeah, that's the thing you have to be careful when it comes to sequels. You can't retread the same material as the first. Much in the way Top Gun could have easily just gone ahead and been like, okay, new class of students. No. Stakes were bigger. Lives were definitely on the line just as much in the first one, if not more so. You have to raise the stakes. You always have to raise the stakes. Look at something like Die Hard 2, Die Harder. You know, I would definitely say that the stakes were raised in that movie. Instead of just being like Christmas Party and Nakatomi Plaza, you had an entire airport that was pretty much taken over. Yeah, American Pie. You know, at least with American Pie, you can't say they retreaded the same story. Because the original story was just about the four guys losing virginity before graduation. The sequel was about, now that they've had it, now they have an entire summer of debauchery. What do they do with themselves?
Yeah.
You know, that takes it another level by giving them like free roaming range to do whatever they want, or to think they'll do whatever they want and then fail miserably because that's what's funny about it.
Just to let you know, here's another movie that I don't think everybody forgot about.
What?
Okay.
Project X.
Up, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Zinga!
If you got Miles Teller to do a sequel to Project X, I would be kind of scared.
Under Siege 3. Well, I would say, we'll never get an Under Siege 3. By the way, we got to wrap this up, but I just want to let you know that I just got a message from JD Walker on the sports side of things. Apparently, he is going through the YouTube children's music section right now, and he's finding Ninja Sex Party and Starbomb on the children's section of YouTube. Yeah, thought you just liked that one. Yeah, it's the one. It's the one with where it's the one with Princess Peach. If you know the Starbomb song.
Yeah.
Oh no, not Luigi's Ballad. Not Luigi's Ballad.
It's that one where it goes downhill with Mario. That's in the children's section right now of YouTube.
Oh no! Hide your kids! Hide your kids, please! Oh my goodness!
I'm looking like jaw dropped internally.
Dave, do you know Luigi's Ballad?
Yes.
Oh my God!
Yeah, if you can see it right there, he just sent it to me just now.
No! Do not let the children watch that.
That is not for kids. How did you watch?
Oh my God! I should put that up just now, but thank you guys as always. I got to wrap up because we got to do commercials and all that kind of fun stuff. Thanks as always, Ryan, D. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it. Talk to you guys again. Thank you. If you got anything you want us to talk about, find us always on Tales from the Film Set on YouTube. Drop me a message at Tales from the Film Set at Gmail, or any part of Streampunk Entertainment or Spanglish. So until next time, stay awesome.